What if I told you that the greatest battle of your life isn't against other people, but against your own reactions? Not your circumstances, not your past, not the people who disrespect you, not the world that seems determined to test your patience, but that invisible moment, the split second between what happens to you and how you respond. Most people never notice it. They react automatically. A harsh word becomes an argument. A setback becomes despair. A single insult ruins an entire day. And without realizing it, they hand control of their peace to everything outside themselves. But there is another way. A way practiced by philosophers, monks, warriors, and the wisest minds throughout history. It begins the moment you stop reacting and start observing. Because the greatest power you will ever possess is the ability to remain calm when everything around you demands chaos. Every day, life presents you with countless triggers. Someone ignores your message. A stranger cuts you off in traffic. A coworker criticizes your work. A family member says exactly the wrong thing. At first, these moments seem insignificant, but together, they quietly shape the quality of your life. Most people believe emotional control means suppressing feelings. They imagine becoming cold, distant, or emotionless. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Real emotional self-control isn't about pretending nothing hurts. It isn't about forcing yourself to smile when you're angry. And it certainly isn't about denying your emotions. Instead, it is about seeing your emotions clearly without allowing them to become your master. Every emotion carries information. Anger tells you that a boundary feels violated. Fear warns you about uncertainty. Sadness reminds you that something meaningful has been lost. The problem isn't emotion itself. The problem begins when emotion becomes your decision maker. Think about how many regrets begin with one uncontrolled reaction, one angry sentence, one impulsive decision, one emotional text, one unnecessary argument. Entire relationships have ended because someone couldn't pause for 5 seconds. Entire careers have collapsed because someone couldn't control a single moment of anger. Our reactions often create suffering far greater than the original problem. Ancient Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. They believed that external events are not what disturb us. It is our interpretation of those events that creates our suffering. Two people can experience the exact same situation. One sees disaster. The other sees opportunity. The event remains identical. Only the mind changes. That realization changes everything. Because if your interpretation creates your emotional experience, then your awareness can transform it. The first step toward emotional mastery is becoming conscious of the space between stimulus and response. That tiny space contains your freedom. At first, it feels impossibly small. The trigger arrives. The emotion rises. The reaction happens almost instantly. But with practice, that space begins to grow. You notice your heartbeat accelerating. You recognize tension building in your shoulders. You hear the familiar voice inside your head demanding revenge, validation, or control. And instead of obeying it automatically, you simply watch. This is where self-mastery begins. Not by defeating emotion, but by observing it. Imagine standing beside a raging river. You don't become the water. You simply watch it flow. Your emotions are much the same. They move through you. But they are not you. The moment you stop identifying with every emotional impulse, something extraordinary happens. Your emotions lose their power to control you. You begin responding from wisdom instead of habit, from clarity instead of fear, from intention instead of impulse. That doesn't mean life suddenly becomes peaceful. It means you become peaceful within life. And that changes everything. People who once manipulated you lose their influence. Criticism loses its sting. Delays become opportunities for patience. Failure becomes a teacher instead of an identity. Even conflict begins to look different. Most arguments are not battles between two people. They are battles between two wounded nervous systems reacting to one another. One person raises their voice. The other immediately mirrors it. Ego answers ego. Pain answers pain. Reaction feeds reaction. Until neither person remembers what the disagreement was even about. Someone has to interrupt the cycle. Someone has to refuse the invitation to chaos. That person can be you. Not because you're weak, not because you've surrendered, but because you've become stronger than your first impulse. True strength is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need the last word. It doesn't need constant validation. It understands that protecting your peace is more valuable than winning every argument. There will always be people who misunderstand you, people who criticize your choices, people who project their own fears onto your life. If you react to every opinion, you'll spend your entire life living according to someone else's emotions. But when your peace comes from within, no outside voice can take it away. The practice of emotional self-control isn't something you master overnight. It's built one moment at a time. Every trigger becomes training. Every disappointment becomes practice. Every difficult conversation becomes another opportunity to strengthen your awareness. Little by little, your old patterns begin to dissolve. You become slower to anger, quicker to understand, less controlled by fear, less attached to approval, more present, more grounded, more free. Eventually, people notice something different about you. Not because you've become louder, but because you've become calmer. Your presence begins to influence others. Calm becomes contagious. Wisdom becomes visible. And your greatest lesson is no longer something you teach with words. It becomes something people feel simply by being around you. Now, I'd like to ask you something. What emotion challenges you the most? Is it anger, fear, overthinking, jealousy, or the need to always defend yourself? Share your answer in the comments below. And here's another question that may stay with you long after this video ends. What would your life look like if no one else could control your emotional state? If this message resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Sometimes one moment of awareness can completely change the direction of someone's life. The next time life tests your patience, remember this. The trigger is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Every difficult person, every uncomfortable conversation, every unexpected obstacle is revealing where your mind still seeks automatic reactions instead of conscious choices. Do not fear these moments. Welcome them, because each one is another opportunity to become the person you are capable of becoming. You cannot control every event that enters your life, but you can always choose who you become because of it. And perhaps that is the hidden power of emotional self-control. Not that it changes the world around you, but that it transforms the world within you. Thank you for watching. If you found value in today's message, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join this community dedicated to wisdom, self-mastery, and meaningful personal growth. Until next time, stay aware, stay grounded, and remember, the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. It is the one who has learned to master themselves. Until next time, remember, the person who controls your emotions controls your life. But the moment you master your emotions, your life truly becomes your own. And if you're ready to continue exploring philosophy, psychology, and the timeless principles of self-mastery, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future conversations.